Hey guys, Ramsey here. Welcome to another video. Today we have a family portrait and it's going to be a ranked family portrait. So I've been going back and ranking some of these. I did a Creed one. I ranked recently. We did Roja Dove, and I've done a couple of the houses that I have a lot of bottles from, Guerlain, stuff like that. Go back and you can watch my ranked family portraits. I have an entire playlist, so this will be added to it after tonight. And this is going to be on the famous house of Dior. And Dior is a house that I have always been very hot and cold on. I love the history of the house, and so much of it is wrapped in with my favorite perfumers. Pierre Bourdon's father worked at Dior, and it was Edmond Rudnitska that ended up training Pierre Bourdon, one of my favorite perfumers. And, it's a house that has such history, French history about it. But then you kind of look at the path that Francois Demachy took them on lately, especially starting in about 2017, 2018, onwards. And then they hired Francis Kurkdjian, who is a very, I would say, he's a very friendly fragrance producer to people that just want to smell basic designer musks and stuff like that, but they want an exclusive feeling to when they buy a fragrance. That's the way that I look at Francis Kurkdjian. Many of his creations are simple, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but when you get those big white musks going and you smell kind of the same structure over and over again, repackaged, it really doesn't feel like he is in the chance taking. He's not doing something unique and original. He's not doing what Christopher Chong did at Amouage. He's gonna, I think, probably play it safe and release stuff for the masses that it would be probably considered designer fragrances in niche bottles and charge $300, $400 a bottle. And I'm just not excited about his reign at Dior. That being said, I do love the house of Dior. I've got a top 25 for you, okay? So this took me a long time, and I've actually been going back and forth. And before we get started, I just want to say that this ranking is based on how much I love to wear a fragrance. It's not based on where I think technically the fragrance sits in historical significance, okay? So many of these fragrances are some of the greatest, most influential fragrances of all time. If I have it ranked 20 out of 25, it does not mean that, it's the 20th worst fragrance. It's just the ones that, it's my ranking of how I prefer, okay, my favorite fragrances from Dior to wear. If we were talking technically the best fragrances, some of the ones to the back end are going to be probably the most important ones. And so if one of your most favorite fragrances is towards the end of the line here, please don't come after me. It is just my opinion on how I like to wear the fragrances I like to wear most, okay? It's a fun little list and a way to talk about a lot of fragrances. So let's get into this. Before we do, let's get sent to the day. And I have a quick unboxing that I actually already unboxed. So I'm going to save us some time with the unboxing, and we're just going to talk about some of the bottles I found recently. But first, let's do Scent of the Day. And Scent of the Day is from the House of Roja Dove, and it is Creation E Parfum pour Homme. Now, in America, they can't use the word enigma, which enigma is what the scent is called in the rest of the world. In Europe, in America, it is Creation E pour Homme, okay? Because enigma had a copyright issue with it, apparently. And I'll tell you what, if you like boozy fragrances, this is one of the best. This is just out and out one of the best. I wore this to work today. It really makes you feel like $1,000,000. It does for me. It's got that lovely note of cognac and tobacco. And you know why I chose to wear this today? It is getting a little cooler finally. I mean, hell, it's November the 10th. It should be cold. But it just finally, it was like in the 70s just a couple days, the last couple days. 70s kissing 80. And I wore this today because I was so attracted to that cola-like opening. It has this Pepsi Cola, cherry Pepsi like cola opening when you first spray. And I'll tell you what, I just crave that cola. You know, there's also a cola vibe in Magnetism for Men by Escada, and even M7, the original M7 that Tom Ford put out with YSL, which I will do a YSL family portrait, ranked family portrait very soon too. But even M7 had a little bit of that cola vibe, and I love that vibe once the weather starts getting cooler, that fizzy. This has bergamot in the top, so it has this fizzy, like cola vibe, and it's absolutely stunning. And, you know, the downside with this scent is that the vanilla in the base is sweet. There's no getting around that. It's a very sweet vanilla. I wish the sweetness was toned down. It might be the perfect boozy fragrance if that vanilla was toned down for me, because I also really like the heliotrope note in here. I did an entire, I've actually done multiple videos on this fragrance, but one of them was a comparison between the Parfum Cologne and the Parfum version of Enigma or Creation E. So if you want to check that out, you absolutely can under the Roja playlist. All right, so let me tell you what I recently found here. So some pickups. There were 10 bottles of this on eBay. I almost shit. First of all, I almost bought them all. All right. And I had to stop myself because the price was so good. Armando hit me up and he was like, hey man, there is an amazing deal on old Hugo Boss #1 Splash before it said #1 on the bottle. And I was like, damn, I got to get some of that. I almost just went, buy them all for $380, buy all 10. But I was like, you know what? Because it was such a good deal. I was like, I'm going to leave them for everyone else. I only got one. It's the big boy, though. It's 125 mil. What a deal. $38. No #1. Made in the UK. Yeah, Euro costs. Made in the UK. Hunt Valley, Maryland. Yeah, nice. Good stuff. So here's the box. And you can see it just says Hugo Boss Eau de Toilette. Look at that. Strange, right? It's weird not seeing #1 on the front, but it is on the back. It does say Boss #1. So even these older bottles, I guess they had come up with the whole #1 thing. You can see the shorter ingredient list that distinguishes its age. It's probably a 90s bottle if I had to guess. There is the little info down here. And so, amazing deal. I'm going to decant this, and now I've never really seen a splash. Lots of the ones I've seen are sprays. Oh, God. You talk about a tobacco fragrance for the cold, though. This is stunning. One of my favorite scents to wear of all time. Made my top 10 and my top 100. So, we are going to put you somewhere. Where are we going to put you? We'll put you right here. Go to your new home. We'll find you later. And then, one of my perfume god people, you know who you are. Thank you very much. Done so much for the channel. You guys have no idea how much this perfume god person has done. And becoming a very good friend. Really enjoying chatting with them. But they had some fragrances from the collection they wanted to cull. And I said, sure, I'll pick them up. And they gave me mates rates, basically what they did. They gave me mates rates, okay? Could have charged definitely triple on one and probably another $100 or $150 on the other. Very kind of him or her. And so the first one is an Ajmal. It's my first full Ajmal in the collection. It's called Mukhallat al-Shams. Now, interestingly enough, Parfumo only shows Mukhallat Shams. It doesn't say Mukhallat al-Shams. So I'm guessing it's the same fragrance. It looks like the same fragrance. I wonder if they changed the name, or if anyone knows about the difference there, let me know. But Ajmal, this is a 50 ml bottle. Look at this presentation. Look at this. Beautiful, right? So the cap comes like this. It's only on the top right here. Interesting little cap, right? And so there is some Arabic writing around the outside. And this is Russian Adam from Arise Ladore's favorite house. Not favorite fragrance, but favorite house for ouds. Because they own many oud fields and cultivate their own oud. They're legit. And they're really sized for scale, you know. So you can buy this at discounters. I think retail it's like $150. Discounters have it for like 80 or 90 bucks. And, you know, again, with Mate's rates, I got it for even less than that, luckily. He was very kind to me. But it's an oud amber. So it's like an ambery oud with musk and some woody notes. And it's animalic, it's fecal. It's got some barnyard notes to it, but for the price, I mean, I'm going to wear the hell out of this. And I love the sun logo on the front, or the wheel in motion, if you will. I don't know which one that's supposed to be, but it's beautiful. I'm a fan. I'm a big fan of this. I'm a big fan of this little this presentation. It doesn't seem cheap to me. Look, they've got a little thing there. Very well done. Very well done. Bravo, Ajmal. And this one was produced in, for those of you interested in stuff like this, made September of 2020, expires August of 25. Interesting. Very interesting. We'll put you right there. You can live with your Amouage brethren. And then, this is the more expensive one that I got a very fair deal on. It's called Falkar from Bulgari. And look at this big box these expensive Bulgari fragrances come in. This is the only one from the line that caught my attention. And I'll tell you why in just a second. But look at this. I've never actually held or seen one of these high-end Bulgari line boxes before, but very heavy duty. Nice box. And so comes out like this. And there's the little box, and this opens up like this. I mean, look at this thing. It's very heavy duty, and there's the bottle. And, you know, looking at it on the screen, right, it does have Bulgari there, it does have the gemstone, but doesn't this bottle look kind of cheap to you? It always looked kind of cheap to me on, the screen. So when people hold it in videos and stuff like that, it never looked high class for a high class Bulgari line. But check this out. So this cap right here is actually magnetic. And I think that kind of changes things. I think that's kind of cool. The magnetic cap is neat. I like the presentation now. I'm a fan. Now that I'm actually holding it in my hand, it's heavy as all get out. It fits in the hand perfect. It's 100 mil. Okay, this plastic looks kind of cheap. The Bulgari, this is, look, that's cheap plastic. So these could be improved as far as the, you know, the quality of the materials. But the magnetic cap with the strong magnet and the design kind of sold me. I'm a fan now. But anyways, Falkar. The reason that Falkar is on the list, can you guess why I've wanted Falkar for years. It came out in 2019. Jacques Cavalier did many of these high-end Bulgari lines before he became the exclusive in-house perfumer of Louis Vuitton, I think. I think he's the exclusive in-house perfumer. I don't know. Maybe he can still do other things. Maybe it's because Bulgari is owned by LVMH, so he's the LVMH perfumer, so he can make stuff like this. But this is saffron, black musk, Bangladeshian oud, and leather. And it's the leather that I've been wanting this for so long. And there is a fragrance that this is actually compared to from the house of Dior, which I don't own. I want to own, or at least I want to get a little sample so I can test it, or a decant or something so I can test it and talk about it on the channel. But it's called Oud Rosewood, and it came out 1 year after Falkar. Oud Rosewood is apparently compared to Falkar. So, I'm excited to get to know this. I love leather. I love oud. I love saffron. And from the atomizer, it smells exactly like I was hoping. So, I'm excited about this. So, good stuff. Thank you to my perfume god person for being so fair. And, I mean, not that I care, and not that I'm going to read you this whole thing, but it does come with a little booklet if you want to read about all the different scents in the line, which I don't. Maybe I'll do that when I actually do a video on it. Okay, so let me put you away. You go back to your home. You're going to live inside of your box, because it is a nice box, you know? It's a decent box. I'm impressed with the box. I'm impressed with the packaging. you know, I don't see many people talk about this high-end Bulgari line. But yeah, Falcar is the only one from the line that made me go, I want that. And I've been wanting it for a long time. And whenever I, you know, got a chance to get it at a fair price, I couldn't say no. So thank you. Thank you. You know who you are. Okay, so let's get into this top 25 Dior countdown, if you will. But first, we have to do an honorable mention. There's one honorable mention, and the reason there's an honorable mention is because I've never smelled this before. I have a sample of it, but I've been saving it for a, you know, late night insight video or something like that. I just haven't had a chance to get around to talking about this one yet. And this fragrance is from the Dior Homme line, but it's actually a flanker, all right? So it's a flanker of Dior Homme, which the original Dior Homme came out in 2005, and the original is very highly respected on this list. You'll see very soon. But the reason that this is an honorable mention, as you can see, is it's still in the little packaging. And this one's called, this is a Matchbox sample, by the way. Look at this. Very cool. I'll show you in a second. But this one's called Dior Om Eau. So, oops, I guess I should show you the right way, huh? There you go. Dior Om Eau. It's still in its packaging. Haven't even opened it yet. And Dior Om Eau is a flanker that came out in 2014. François Demachy, of course. I can't really smell it through the plastic. But the sample came in this Matchbox. How cool is that? So it's a Matchbox and a 1 ml sample. And Dior Homme Eau is supposedly compared to Prada L'Homme Low, I think they call it. I've never smelled that one, but they're compared to each other. They're both kind of this powdery, woody, fresh thing. And it uses the same beautiful Florentine iris that's in the Dior Homme line that I love so much. But there's no cacao. There's none of the heavier notes. I don't even think there's lavender in Dior Homme Eau. I think it's just citrus with a little bit of coriander, the Florentine iris, and some cedar. So it's a very easy to wear, you know, summer version of Dior Homme, which Dior Homme for me is a summer fragrance, the original, the silver stem, which I'm going to show much higher in the countdown. So Dior Homme Eau, honorable mention, and you can expect a video on this one very soon. But unfortunately, this is discontinued and it's hard to find, and bottles of this stuff are expensive. I've looked, forget about it. I mean, they're asking big money for it. Okay, so let's get started with number 25. And if you know my taste, first of all, number 25 is not going to be a surprise to you at all. This is one of my most hated Dior fragrances. Well, it is, basically. It's last on the list. Even the Sauvage, the blue fragrance, beat this out. And this number 25 is Fève Délicieuse. And the reason that number 25 is Fève Délicieuse is this goopy, syrupy sweetness in this fragrance bothers me. It came out in 2015, and I really feel like this was the downfall of François Demachy. This was the beginning of the downfall. So for me, you guys probably know, but Tonka Imperial is the better tonka bean fragrance by far for me. It showcases facets of tonka in a better light to what the real tonka that I've smelled, thanks to Russian Adam, smells like. Tonka Imperial does a much better job of that. This is probably really liked by people who like gourmand scents. So if you go like to the Perfume Guy's channel, Sebastian, he talks like this is his favorite Dior. You know, he loves Fève Délicieuse because it has this syrupy, gloopy sweetness, almost food-like. And it's basically just tonka bean, vanilla, bergamot, and rose. But it's so gloopy and sweet that I have a hard time wearing it. Gloopy is the best word, honestly. Imagine what gloopy would smell like. Like if you know, had a can of gloopy, right? And imagine what it would smell like, and that's what Fève Délicieuse smells like. It is so sweet and so hard for me to wear, and I'm sure if I wore this to work, I'd probably get freaking compliments. I mean, I just don't enjoy it. It was a hit, I think, in 2015. I think this was a hit for Dior. Now, to be fair, I do have the reformulated version, if you want to call it that. My bottle is a 2020 bottle. 0G01 is the batch code, I think. But, you know, I would just much rather wear Tonka Imperial if you're going to make me wear a Tonka Bean Heavy fragrance. So, number 25, Fève Délicieuse. Number 24. Number 24 is the blue fragrance. And it's the only blue fragrance in my collection. I don't own Bleu de Chanel in any form. I don't own any of the, like, Eros or, you know, anything like that. None of them. I don't own Roja's Elysium. None of that. This is the only blue fragrance I have. It's Sauvage Parfum. I bought this in 2020. And this is probably my favorite blue fragrance. And I've said this before. I like this version. It has a beautiful sandalwood in the base. The musks smell of very high quality. There's almost like this frankincense, elemi-like vibe to it. And elemi kind of has this like lemony frankincense feel. It's like a fresher frankincense, if you will. And the notes in here do smell high quality, and I think I would probably enjoy wearing this much more if it wasn't such a hit. I am so sick and tired. I mean, I've had it up to here with walking into an elevator or something, and there's a guy in there, and every single freaking time it smells like he's wearing a blue fragrance. Sauvage, Bleu de Chanel. You know, it never fails. I just want to smell something else, even if it's shite. Just something other than Sauvage or Bleu de Chanel, you know? Just reeking of blue fragrance smells at work. I am so tired of it. And, you know, it's just, I get it. You know, it's what's popular. It gets you compliments or whatever. And I don't think that's a bad fragrance is the thing. I think it's actually a pretty good fragrance. The Parfum version is a little bit more masculine. It doesn't have the throw of the EDT. The EDT is so unprofessional at work. People that wear the Eau de Toilette at work are out of their minds because I can smell them forget across the room, I can smell them across the building. You know, they get off the elevator with that Sauvage Eau de Toilette, I can smell them across the building. So this is a little bit more grown up, but personally, now in 2020, this was the best version of Sauvage, I would say. Today, if you let me pick, I would pick the Elixir. I think that's actually a good perfume. I think it's kind of a take more on a fougere. It starts going back to the 80s, which I like much more. You know, imagine Sauvage if it were made in the 80s. That's basically Elixir. And it's a good fragrance. It gets pounded online, and I don't own a bottle, but if you made me, and I won't buy one, but if you made me buy a blue fragrance today from the Sauvage line, that's what I would buy. I would buy Sauvage Elixir, but that wasn't available in 2020. So, Sauvage Parfum comes in at number 24. Number 23. Now, this could be one that kind of puts people off a little bit, but you know what? Again, I have to be honest with you guys. This is where I feel this deserves to be ranked for my personal taste. Now, to be fair, I don't own this as a fragrance that I like to wear as my scent of the day and stuff like that. This is a museum piece for me. This is a piece of history. This is a understanding, a link to the past, and understanding how one of the greatest Lily of the Valley, fragrances was ever created, was invented. And how Edmund Rudnitska came up with that. I like to spray it on before bed and just kind of get taken away on the journey. But I don't like wearing it as my scent of the day because, again, I get bored with it. I want to smell something else. I want to wear something else. I want to, I'm into the heavier fragrances, and this fragrance is it's not my taste, my personal taste. But but I really respect the hell out of it. And I could say this could easily be somebody's number one. Okay, it's that good. In fact, many people call this Edmund Rudnitska's masterpiece. It is Diorissimo. Okay, now, Diorissimo. For those of you that don't know, and see, the old Christian Dior logo was separated. There's some space between them. The new one basically looks like this. See how they're together, separate. That's just a little history lesson for you guys. If you're ever trying to date older bottles or where bottles come from, if the CD and are separated, you'll be able to know they're a little bit older. So Diorissimo is 1956, floral, fresh, bergamot, and a bunch of flowers that he came up with, and rosemary with sandalwood and civet in the base. And to be fair, the sandalwood and the civet in the base is beautiful, and the civet is very intelligently dosed. It's just a bit, okay? Now, Francois Demachy reformulated this in 2009 because of IFRA guidelines, but for those of you that don't know, Lily of the Valley was Christian Dior, the man, his favorite flower. In fact, it was his lucky flower, and he used to have a Lily of the Valley flower pinned somewhere on him at all times, okay? And he used to hide it in the hems and tucks of his models' dresses, okay? So whenever he would create the dresses for the runway models, he would secretly slip a Lily of the Valley in there for good luck. Because to him, it was a good luck flower. He grew it in France. He was very successful at growing the flower, apparently. He had a beautiful Lily of the Valley garden. And so the thing that ended up happening is Lily of the Valley cannot be extracted. There's no natural essence that you can just pull Lily of the Valley from. It has to be reconstructed, and it has to be reconstructed by a deft hand in perfume. And that's where Edmund Rudnitska comes in. And he created this, basically, you could say, masterpiece. If Lily of the Valley is your favorite note, this is your holy grail scent. This is it. This is the most perfect Lily of the Valley you will ever smell. I don't think anyone will argue with that. I've never heard anyone argue there's a better Lily of the Valley. And what he did was he succeeded in reconstruction of the flower by using a note called hydroxycitronellol. And it's the main aroma component of Lily of the Valley, amongst other notes. And, the reconstruction was so good, it was so successful, many consider this his masterpiece and his reference for, similar Lily of the Valley notes. I know Jean-Claude Elena and people like him were infatuated with trying to create a new Lily of the Valley note, but it's very hard to do, almost impossible with ingredients that's banned by IFRA. So if you find these older bottles of Diorissimo, like I got this for very cheap. I don't think the lady really knew what she had, or if she did, I think she had a bunch of bottles, a bunch of different bottles. And actually her screen name, I think her username on Mercari was Diorissimo or something. So she was big into this perfume, but she gave me a great deal. So that's why it's at number 23. I very much appreciate its historical precedence, but for me, it just has to be 23. I can't put it any higher. Number 22 is a fragrance I'm just kind of getting to know, and I like it. I enjoy it. It's more something I would enjoy wearing on a day-to-day basis over Diorissimo. Like I said, Diorissimo is a museum piece for me. But this fragrance has a flaw, and we'll talk about it in just a second. It came out in... when did this fragrance come out? It came out in 2019, and it's called Spice Blend. Okay, so Spice Blend comes in at number 22. And, the thing about Spice Blend is this. This is towards the end of Francois Demachy's run as in-house perfumer of Dior. And the spices in this are nice. Yes, they're pleasant. The boozy vibe is blended with the spices in such a way where even though you get a slight boozy aspect, I bet you if you didn't tell people that there was rum in here or bay rum or whatever note Francois Demachy used, I don't remember, I bet you most people wouldn't pick it out. I bet you they wouldn't say it's a boozy scent. Definitely not in the same way that they would say, Creation E or Enigma is a boozy scent, right? I don't think, you know, the two are anywhere near each other. This is much more heavy reliance on the cognac, which, by the way, is an essential oil. You can actually get the essential oil off the bottom of the barrels where the cognac is. What's the word they use there? Macerated. I don't know what it is, but while it's being aged, it leaves a sludge that actually can be turned into an essential oil, and that's what Roja used in Creation E. So don't think, you know, you're getting some extra boozy fragrance here, because you're not. It's there, but it's kind of blended with this designer sweetness. And the designer sweetness is holding this fragrance back. It's why it's not higher. And it you know, starting in 2015, Francois Demachy really started going down this generic designer. You know, this should have been just a regular Dior release. This should not have been a privé. There's nothing privé about this. This is a designer through and through. This doesn't feel like it deserves the right to be a private blend, you know? But I did enjoy it. I haven't given it a full wear, but I have worn it to bed once, and I liked it. But you know, I didn't love it enough to put it any higher than 22. 21 is another one that'll probably cause some old school Dior lovers headaches, but I have to put it here. I can't put it any higher. I struggle with wearing this. I get bored of it very quickly. I only wear it in the dead of summer. And maybe the real old batches. Mine is a 2000 and I think it's a 2003 batch, if I'm not mistaken. It's 3M01. I think it's a 2003, because this was an older style packaging too. But it's also from Edmond Rudnitska, and it is the original Eau Sauvage in Eau de Toilette. Okay, so 1966 this comes out, okay? And many people consider this one of the greatest masculines of all time, which is funny to me because I don't get that at all. I just get, this just feels like a citrusy cologne. That's it. It's a citrusy cologne. Is it beautiful for high heat and weather? Yes. Do I enjoy wearing it? Not really. I mean, many times when I wear this, I'm bored. Can you name another Edmond Rudnitska fragrance you're bored with? I mean, almost never, right? This kind of bores me. It's just this lavender citrus. That's basically all I get. They say there's all kind of stuff in here. Yes, okay, the basil, the rosemary, the green opening. Cumin? I don't get any cumin in this. I wish there was cumin in it, because the way he uses cumin is masterful. Rochas Femme, masterpiece. Eau de Hermes, masterpiece. Eau de Hermes is my favorite Edmond Rudnitska fragrance by far. Well, maybe not by far, but I would put it at number 1. And so I wish this had cumin. I wish, and I don't know if you can tell by the back, but who knows what year this was made. But it does say 3M01. So I think it's either 2013 or 2003. And, you know, it's very classic masculine. I would prefer to wear YSL Pour Homme. If I'm going to wear something like this style, I'd rather wear YSL Pour Homme. Or, you know, even this Roja Scandal Pour Homme up here, I enjoy wearing more than Eau Sauvage. And that's a shame, because usually I'm a big fan of these vintage fragrances. This just needs something else. And I'm wondering if maybe when it initially came out in the 60s and 70s, it was more animalic. It was more challenging. Maybe Dior kind of toned it down over the years. There is a beautiful oak moss in the base. I will give them that. Beautiful oak moss with a touch of vetiver, but it's just not enough for me. I want more. I always want more, you know? Can't get no satisfaction with that one. Okay, number 20. Number 20 is a Fahrenheit flanker, and the first of, you know, a couple Fahrenheit flankers you'll see on this list. And this one's still available for purchase. So it's Fahrenheit Parfum. Used to be called Le Parfum. Now it's the Parfum version. And I think this is also a 2020 bottle, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 0M01. And it's an old tester that I ended up scoring at a good price. And you know, what can I say about Fahrenheit Parfum? Um, it is a fragrance that kind of gives you a little bit of a ghost feel of Fahrenheit, almost like, uh, almost like deja vu of Fahrenheit. Like you feel like you're kind of seeing Fahrenheit, and, like a shimmery outline of Fahrenheit. And you think it's there, and right when you think they're going to give you the parts you love, they take it away. And that's the reason this isn't higher. And, that violet leaf opening that everyone loves so much is toned down. Okay, this is like the easier version of Fahrenheit to wear. Let's put it that way. So the violet leaf gasoline opening that everyone loves, or at least the vintage heads like me love from the original Fahrenheit, is basically missing. It's gone. It's a shell of its former self. Okay, and it is. It's not. It's not meant to be that. It's meant to be an easier to wear version of Fahrenheit, right? And that's exactly what it is. But the problem I have with this fragrance is for all of the pieces I can kind of point to that I like for example, the leather piece in here is nice, okay? It's hidden under vanilla. Vanilla is the problem with this fragrance. There's no room in Fahrenheit for vanilla. There never was. In fact, even the original Fahrenheit, there was a time from the early 2000s, like 2001 all the way to 2012, before Francois Demachy changed things again and reformulated Fahrenheit for the better, that Fahrenheit had a distinctly vanilla-like feel to it. And I think they were secretly adding vanilla into Fahrenheit to make it more palatable for the average Joe. And I don't want that. I'm glad they brought Fahrenheit back to how it was. They really invented some new molecules were discovered, and they were able to bring Fahrenheit back to its former glory, if you will. That's one that you can buy a new bottle of and be comfortable. You don't have to worry about vintages as much. But this one has that vanilla in it, bourbon vanilla absolute, and it's ambery, it's benzoin-y, and it kind of goes down that sweeter designer path. And every time I wear this, I'm like, this isn't bad, but why am I not just wearing Fahrenheit, right? Why am I doing this to myself? Why? There is a nice birch note in the dry down, but, I don't know. I mean, that's my take on it. I can't say anything more about Fahrenheit Parfum. I prefer the original, and every time I wear it, I'm reminded of how much I prefer the original, but I do like it. That's the thing. I like it. I just think that vanilla is too sweet, as usual. I'm on a broken record with that too sweet side of things with fragrances. Okay, number 19 is a decant, and this is a decant someone sent me that kind of looks like a Dior bottle, but it's just a little decant. And this is called Santal Noir. Okay, so Santal Noir is a fragrance that is from the Privé line. Again, 2018 this came out. And it's basically like this woody floral fragrance that Francois Demachy came up. And the reason that this is at number 19, this is actually a very simple fragrance. It's sandalwood, ambrette, and Turkish rose. And Dior, I have to give it to Dior for something. They have one of the most beautiful ambrette notes of all time. And if you go to the original foundation of Dior Homme, which turned out to be the creation of Bois d'Argent by Annick Menardo, and then Bois d'Argent turned into Dior Homme the very next year. They kind of took Bois d'Argent and reworked it a little bit, but that foundation of two notes gives Dior Homme its, gives it what it makes Dior Homme what it is. And one is iris and the other is ambrette. And those two notes combine to create something magical. And that same beautiful ambrette is in Santal Noir. That's why I like it. It does remind me a little bit of Santal Majuscule, which I prefer. I actually think Santal Majuscule is a better fragrance than Santal Noir, but I really admire the ambrette in Santal Noir because Dior has some amazing ambrette. I don't know where they get it or if it's a different supplier than I've smelled in other perfumes, but the ambrette Dior uses is shockingly high quality. I love it. And it's there. So that's why Santal Noir comes in at number 19. Number 18 is a classic, a recently discontinued classic. Unfortunately, but it is Dune Pour Homme. And if you can get the bottle that says Christian Dior, do it. The ones that say Dior are still good, but the older bottles that say Christian Dior are even better. And this is an old tester that I was able to get from Le Parfumé. And you have to be careful because if you don't take the cap off like this, if you just take it off like this, the whole thing comes off. The whole little sleeve. And this is a beautiful fragrance for summer, for warm weather. Dune Pour Homme is green and fresh, and it has probably one of my favorite fig notes. There's fig leaf and currant leaf and fig tree bark, so multiple uses of fig with rosetta, rose, sandalwood, tonka, vanilla, and cedarwood, and a beautiful green basil in the opening. And this is a 90s fragrance, okay? 1997, so it's gonna be that fresher, easier to wear. You know, it's a great summer scent for me. I love just lathering this on in the summer. And not many people walk around smelling like this. Parfumo says it's still being marketed by LVMH, but I think it's discontinued. Or if it's not discontinued, I think it's on the way to being discontinued. Okay, so that's Dune Pour Homme. Doesn't get enough love in the community. You know what? I just remembered something. How could I be so thick? Well, you're getting a second honorable mention because I just remembered this, and I'm not going back and doing this video again. This is Dior's Higher. And I completely forgot about it. Here, we'll put these two side by side. They really are kind of side by side anyways. This is what reminded me of Higher. Higher uses pear, though, whereas Dune uses fig, okay? Higher goes the pear route. And it's actually pear with pear tree wood in the base. So there's pear on the top with basil. Again, the basil, fruity combinations will kind of remind you of one another. This came out in 97. This came out, Dior's Higher came out in 2001. And there's peach, there's rosemary, there's that pear tree wood, there's musk, which is the white musk is prevalent in this. But the note that really kind of takes this to another level is cypress. Cypress is a very underused note. So I'll kind of put these together. We'll rank them together, although they're separate and they probably deserve their own slot. I'm just glad I remembered. You almost got left out, Higher. The older bottles look like this. The newer ones have like a cap, but I don't know if it's still available either. I don't know if Higher's discontinued or not. But anyways, that is Dior's Higher here. Let me make a note so I can... Number 18 will be shared. Dune and Dior Higher can hold hands. Dior Higher, number 18. Okay, number 17 is another 7.5 mil mini that I was able to score at a decent price, so something I want to talk about on the channel. This is Oud Ispahan. And I've worn this to bed. I like it. I enjoy it. The only thing is, the reason this isn't higher on the list... sorry, bad pun. But the reason it isn't higher on the list is that it's 10 years old. And in 2012, when this came out, this rose oud combo was the hot thing. I mean, this sold like hotcakes. Everybody loved these type of fragrances. But now, 10 years later, this rose oud patchouli, it is overplayed a little bit, and the newness and the originality feels like it's a little gone. This feels for 2022 to spend $300 on this, a full bottle of this, feels a little foolish when you can spend $300 and get a Bortnikov or a Rouge L'Adoré with real oud, you know. And if Dior uses real oud, it's probably not much. I don't know, but my guess is most of their stuff is probably that synthetic oud with maybe just a drop of the real stuff. I don't know, but you could get an Rouge L'Adoré where it's all the real stuff. So that's the problem I have with Oud Ispahan. Even with all that being said, I still like it, okay? It's still something that I enjoy, and I would love to try that Oud Rosewood one day. That's on my list. But if you like fragrances like Diptyque's Oud Palau, I think that Oud Ispahan should be on your to sniff list. Okay, next on the list, we are going to a decant that I have. And this is number 16, so we're slowly making headway. But this was sent to me by my good friend Lee from Fragnanimous. You can see his URL right there, fragnanimous.com. He sells, you know, partials like this, and he also sells. What I use him mostly for is stuff like Prin Lumros's fragrances, Rouge L'Adoré, Bortnikov, Meleg, those kind of indie houses. He sells all of them. And he's a very trustworthy guy. I trust him. I will gladly send you to his site because I know he's going to take good care of you and be fair to you. The only thing is that he only ships, I think, in the US and Canada right now. But Bois d'Argent is kind of the fragrance that set everything off with Dior Homme. It came out in 2004, 1 year before Dior Homme, and it's that mixture of the Florentine iris with the ambrette and honey. This has honey and leather and frankincense in the top, but it has this woody, powdery feel to it. And it does feel a little light. Now, this is the 2018 version. I don't know if you can see it right there. It says 2018. Francois Demachy reformulated these in 2018. So I would be curious to see what an older bottle of Bois d'Argent smelled like. But this is still good. I still really like it. I just can't put it higher because I much prefer the Dior Homme series, personally. All right, so that was number 16. Number 15 is a video I actually did, or a fragrance I actually did a video on already. You can find it on my Dior dropdown. And I like this. This is one that's very classy. If I had a bottle of this, I would wear it. It's just so expensive. These privés are so expensive. This is Bois d'Argent. I'm sorry. This is Ambre Nuit. We just did Bois d'Argent. Ambre, it's been a long day. This is Ambre Nuit. So Ambre Nuit, of course, Francois Demachy, 2009, one of his earliest creations once he came to Dior. Beautiful Turkish rose, pink pepper with bergamot and grapefruit with amber, guaiac wood, patchouli, and cedar, and what smells like a beautiful ambergris in the base. It has that sparkly, you know, vibe to it. And so go watch my video. I did an early impression, I should say, because it was just a sample. This is from my good friend Rich Mitch. Thank you, Rich. So Ambre Nuit comes in at number 15. Number 14. Number 14 is one of the greatest chypres of all time. And this is Diorella in the old houndstooth bottle. Look at that beautiful bottle. Ah, the good old days. Look at that. Keep from heat or flame. All right. I love a good disclosure. So Diorella is an amazing fragrance because it has some of these aldehydic, not cologne, but melony, fresh notes that became super popular in the 1990s. Just to show how far ahead Edmund Rudnitska was from everyone else, he was playing with stuff like this in the 1960s and 70s. This has this melon-like note that you will see Pierre Bourdon use over and over and over again in the 90s and 2000s. But what's crazy about this is he mixes it with a classic floral chypre, okay? And the outcome is something amazing. This is one of the greatest Chypres of all time, and I'm a Chypre lover. Okay, Mitsuko, Diaghilev, Chypre Palaton, Chypre Siam. I love fragrances like that. This is right there with them. Rocha's Femme, beautiful Chypre. And Edmund Rudnitska does not get enough credit for Diorella. I love this stuff. It's got a beautiful oak moss in the base. Now, what's being sold today is probably nowhere near the beauty of this. But if you ever get a chance to smell Diorella, man, woman, anything, any person can wear this and smell absolutely stunning. Don't let the fact that it's marketed towards women in the 70s put you off. In fact, that oak moss and vetiver in the base, I think, will make this sometimes feel even more masculine than the modern masculines. This is more masculine than something like this to me. This is more masculine, traditionally masculine. So, Diorella is amazing, and it comes in at number 14. Number 13 is basically Dior's take on one of my favorite ambers. It's Dior's take on the great Ombre Sultan. It's Mitzah. And very hard for me to get juice Mitzah, because it's only sold now, I think, in the Paris store, if I'm not mistaken. But this is like a honeyed, spicy labdanum, ambery labdanum, with beautiful cinnamon, frankincense, rose, patchouli, coriander. I love it. I'm a big fan. It's a oriental spicy amber, and it's a very good fragrance. 2010. This is when Francois Demachy was kind of hitting on all cylinders. If you like stuff like Ombre Sultan, even that Oud 777 that I got a chance to blind sniff. If you watched my live stream, we did some blind sniffing. And there were 4 perfumes, and one of them was Oud 777 from Stefan Humbert Lucas, I think his name is. I don't own anything from that house, but there's like a hair on my nose or something. But Mitzah kind of reminded me of that. But I did really enjoy that Oud 777. Even though it didn't feel very oudy, it felt more ambery. Mitzah kind of plays in that ballpark. Okay, next, we are going to one of the most iconic bottles and fragrances of all time. Again, this could be higher, but it's more of a taste thing. I have a hard time wearing this out and about because it's just so... It is just so much fragrance. It is so huge, and there's nowhere to hide if you wear this. And I got a vintage bottle from the great Anuj at Enchanté. Thank you, Anuj. This is Poison Esprit de Parfum. My God, man. Look at this. Let me show you this. Okay. Oh, it is absolutely amazing. Forget the fact that it's marketed towards women. Just completely throw that out the window. If I wear Poison out and about, which I have done before, this beautiful honeyed plum, big indolic flowers, jasmine, tuberose, but it dries down to this, almost like this oriental challenger to opium or something. Opium came out in 1977, and it took Dior 8 years to basically come up with a replacement. Not a replacement, but a contender to fight opium, and they finally did it with Poison. And how about the most iconic bottle? I mean, the apple, the Poison apple, Adam and Eve. Just stunning imagery. Back when the houses actually used to care about the packaging, unlike today where they just throw everything in the same generic package and slap a different label on it, which I'm so tired of that shit. Yes, Poison is amazing. If you can find the vintage bottles, I don't know when this one came out, but you can see the back. 30 Avenue Hawk 75008 Petty, 76% volume. I don't know how to tell. I'm sure people know how to date these, but if you can find this where it says Esprit de Parfum, that's what you want. Or if you can find the one that says Christian Dior instead of Dior, that's what you want. Okay, next on the list, we are getting into the Dior Homme series, finally. At number 11, it is Dior Homme Intense. So, the reason that Dior Om Intense is here and not higher is because it really does have this makeup-y like vibe. The iris does. It has this makeup-y vibe. And while I like it, I love Dior Homme Parfum, and I love the original Dior Homme Silver Stem. And so this basically has that that mixture I was telling you about, that 1-2 combo that's amazing of Florentine Iris Absolute and Ecuadorian Ambrette Seed. And most people don't realize this, but there were multiple versions of Dior Homme Intense. So this is a 2013 bottle. It's 3Q04, all right? This is a 2013 bottle. The new ones actually say Dior Homme Intense, I think, right here on the cap, okay? And there was a 2007 issue that came out of Dior Om Intense, and Rich Mitch actually just got a bottle. So I'll be interested to hear his thoughts on it. I know the iris can sometimes come across as a little bit powdery, but I think in the 2007 version, there was a little bit more vanilla, and I think there was a little bit more vetiver. Whereas in the 2011 version, which I think the 2011 version is probably like the most popular version, what really set it off, if you will. I think they've just kind of streamlined it. I think the vanilla is toned down, and they really focus on that makeup-y iris with the ambrette. And Dior has amazing ambrette. I mean, the ambrette in this and the ambrette in this is some of the best ambrette I've ever smelled. It is amazing stuff. So distinctive too, and I completely see why it's used as a musk alternative. Okay, top 10. Here we go. Number 10 is the second flanker to Fahrenheit, the harder to find flanker. The Parfum is still out and about, and you can buy it. This one's tough. This one will cost you. You're gonna have to pony up some dough to buy this one. This is the Great Fahrenheit Absolute, which the Fahrenheit Absolute is kind of like a darker, it's a tester so I can show you the notes, kind of like a darker, more resinous, you can see myrrh, incense, oud, those kind of notes that you're seeing. And this is a beautiful fragrance. I can't wait to wear my cold weather fragrances like this again soon. Fahrenheit Absolute has this violet feel too. So there is violet, but don't think gasoline. This is Francois Demachy really doing what he does best, flankers on other people's work. And the Robes 08 Mark from the Robes 08 channel basically called this the devil's juice because it is dark. It's resinous from the myrrh. The myrrh adds this resinous feel. And the oud in the base keeps it dark throughout the entire life. You do get the leather. You just don't get that gasoline feel. The violet in the opening really almost feels like you're smelling violet flower, okay? So it gives it this purple flowery feel with the myrrh. And I guess maybe you could construe it a little bit for gasoline, but not really. It's almost more aromatic, okay? So if you can find a bottle at a decent price, this is 100 ml, you know, if you can find it for, I don't know, 150, 200 bucks, grab it all day. If you have to pay 300, 400, 500, I would say just take a pass. Just move on. Okay, number 9. Number 9 is a fragrance I only have a couple decants of. I have 2 of these 10 ml decants, thanks to Moudasir, my good friend Moudasir down in Houston. This is Cuir Cannage, Christian Dior's Cuir Cannage, and 2014 release. And the reason I don't have a full bottle of this, and I would like a bottle, but I also wouldn't because I have Roja's Great Britain, which I think is a better version of Cuir Cannage. Cuir Cannage is supposedly very similar to a very popular Caron fragrance from 1919 called Tabac Blonde. And that was a big-time leather fragrance. Leather and old school carnation and stuff like that. This keeps the leather. And the biggest thing about this, and the reason I like this so much, and the reason why it's at number 9, is because of the fact that it has this leather and iris combination. Leather and iris is a killer combo for me. Anytime I smell these leather iris fragrances, I'm in love. I mean, it's just, it's my 1-2 note combo that I love so much. And I don't think I've ever smelled a leather iris combo I really don't like. And here, it's not only done very well, but it's highlighted. You know, the orange blossom and the rose and the jasmine almost like frame the picture. The leather and the iris are in the picture. The rest is a frame. And it's like, boom, here you go. It's not very complex. It's just a beautiful fragrance. And I love the smell. I really, really adore the smell. So, Cuir Cannage by Christian Dior, number 9. Number 8. This was very tough because, you know, this is one of the greatest fragrances of all time. I think this might be the best Guy Robert fragrance I've ever smelled. This might be better than Amouage Goldman. Honestly, it might be. It's that good. It's a floral chypre take, okay? So imagine you had a chypre and you added in this beautiful floral heart, but a resinous base. And it's that resinous base that gets me because it opens up aldehydic and fruity and fresh and, you know, floral, and you kind of start to expect one thing, you know, you kind of start to feel a certain way about it, and then all of a sudden it goes right turn. And it's styrax and vanilla and benzoin and oak moss and ambergris, loads of ambergris in the base of Dioressence. Just a beautiful, beautiful creation. I mean, jaw-droppingly beautiful. And that's why I have such a hard time ranking these. But I had to put it at number 8. You know, this could easily be number 1 on anyone's list. And if you like this, check out Chamade by Guerlain. I would love to know which one came first, honestly. They're same year, very similar DNAs. Really, they're competing with each other. So yes, number 7 is an Edmund Rudnitska again. And this is the highest Edmund Rudnitska fragrance on this list. This is an amazing fragrance. Be very careful because there's so many different versions of this fragrance. You really don't know what you're going to get if you just go buy the newest one, or, you know, try to find an older bottle. And so, you know, get with Anuj at Enchante, ask him to date some bottles for you, and pick the one that, you know, is the oldest if you can. But this is a fragrance called Miss Dior. And forget about the Miss Dior. If you're a guy, don't let that put you off. This is a stunning fragrance, and this is the Esprit de Parfum. So again, if you can find these older Christian Dior, this is a refill. That's why it doesn't look all fancy. But if you can find these older bottles that say Christian Dior on them, that's what you want. And this is mind-blowing. It is so good. Oh, God. It's technically a floral chypre, kind of like Dioressence, but what makes this so different is there is this dirty, resinous, thick labdanum and patchouli combo in the base, and almost what smells like cigarettes. I get this smoky, almost like you burned, almost like you took that galbanum, that green galbanum that's in the top, and you burned it. You scorched it with a torch, you know, with one of those torches you use to light a cigar where the flame just really shoots off. You absolutely incinerate this galbanum, and it puts off this black smoke. That's what the dry down smells like. Labdanum, smoky oak moss. It is, I mean, I'm in awe of this fragrance again. Jaw-droppingly beautiful. I need to wear this soon. Miss Dior, Esprit de Parfum. Number 7. Number 6. Number 6 is, again, Francois Demachy, Working with Myrrh. So you saw Fahrenheit Absolute, beautiful myrrh note. In here, I mean, he used myrrh. He used certain notes very well. Ambrette was one, myrrh is another. And this is a very simple fragrance, but a classic. This is so stunning. And I prefer this version. This is the 2012 version of Eau Sauvage Parfum. Now, this is the big boy. This is the 200 ml. Look at this. 2016, right before the 2017 reform. But, oh, God. So classy. Just bergamot, myrrh, and vetiver. Very simplistic. Perfect for the office. Perfect for, I mean, this could be a signature scent for someone that goes to the office and dresses like this every day. You know, just a stunner. And then we are into the top 5. So number 5 is the great Dior Homme Parfum. Okay, Dior Homme Parfum. Now, this is the old 75 ml. They used to, so there you go. You can see 2017 bottles. 7Q02, I think. I can't read that. But Dior Homme Parfum. My God. What a fragrance this is, man. The leather in this, and this almost like, how would you describe the oud in here? It's almost like an embellished oud. Okay, it doesn't really feel like I'm smelling real oud. Although I know there's supposed to be a note of oud in here, I don't get very much of it. But I do get the beautiful combo. Iris, ambrette, sandalwood, leather. Okay, those are the big notes to me. And if there is an oud accord, I think it's kind of used in the base to keep everything, you know, vertical. Like keeping your spine straight, sitting up straight, you know. It's that feel. I love this stuff. Now, some people say the new 100 ml bottles are different. I don't know. I've never smelled them. But I do know that Dior Homme Parfum is amazing. I love it. And I know it all of a sudden caught fire for some reason. It's like the new Aventus. It shows top 5 in men's perfume. Crazy. I don't even think you can buy that in the United States. I think you have to go to Europe. And number 4 is what I would consider to be the best Privé Francois Demachy ever created. You know what it is? If you know my taste, you know. Leather Oud. Leather Oud is something else, man. Oh, I love it. I just love the dirtiness of it. Oud, beeswax, labdanum, birch, smoky birch, okay, with animalic civet. That's basically the scent. Oud, leather, beeswax, smoky birch, labdanum, and animalic civet. Those are the big notes. There's some ancillary notes, clove and vetiver and sandalwood. Even the patchouli, I think, is a little turned down in here, but it is there. But man, what a fragrance they created. Leathery, animalic, stunning. Number 3. Okay, number 3. Here we go. Top 3. What do you guys think? Okay, so before I do these 3, let me just say that to me, all 3 of these could be interchanged in any day. I could do this list tomorrow. This could be number 1, and number 1 could be number 3, and number 2 could stay, or number 2 could be number 3, and, you know, it's just, it could be a merry-go-round of 1, 2, and 3 for me. They're not in as hard of an order as some of the others. And it's because the top 3 are so good. But number 3 today is the Silver Stem. Dior Homme Silver Stem. All right, this is an original 2005 bottle. And what can I say about this? I mean, this is a feels like a Chanel in a Dior bottle. And I think Eugene said that many moons ago, but he's right. He was right. You know, Dior Homme from 2005 feels like Olivier Polge took a Chanel formula and stuck it in a Dior. And you know, the silver stem feels much more intricate, detail-oriented, depth, lavender, bergamot, and sage in the top with amber, iris, cacao, and cardamom. And the cacao is evident in this for sure, with leather, patchouli, and vetiver in the base. It's, I mean, signature scent, classy as all hell. If you were wearing a tuxedo and you wanted to wear this, right? And, I mean, you would be wearing one of the most elegant fragrances ever created for Homme, Dior Homme. The iris is absolutely stunning. I know some people say, yeah, but it's not the same level of iris as in something like Lattessa. I don't care. You know, I really don't. For me, I love the iris in Dior Homme. I am in love with this fragrance. This is, you know, for me, I mean, that's why I say this could easily be number one. Today it's number 3. But the silver stem of Dior Homme is it's a treasure. I mean, it really is. It's so good. All right, so that only leaves the top 2. What do you guys think? I really struggled with this one, but here's where we're going to go. Number 2 is Fahrenheit from 1988. The Eau de Toilette, the OG. Everyone should have Fahrenheit if you're into masculine fragrances. Whoa, the top came off. Sorry, Fahrenheit. Didn't mean to take your head off there. Okay, yeah, so mine doesn't have a collar, so that's why the top came off. But this is a 1996 bottle, I believe. 6Y044. So this is a 1996 bottle. And this is a 2014 bottle. This is a 200 ml. This is a 50 ml. And they are both absolutely stunning. I mean, I almost would say I love them both equally, believe it or not. This bottle is so good. They did such a great job on this. Such a great job. And so, you know, this is a great example of where Fragcom, I think, has really come together. Rudy did a video comparing them. I know that, you know, I can vouch for that and say, yes, it's true. This is apparently they came up with some sort of molecules that allowed them to recreate the gasoline note in a safe way where it was still IFRA compliant and all that stuff. But man, Fahrenheit is, I mean, it could easily be number 1. It's probably one of the most iconic. Again, you speak about bottles. I mean, look at some of these bottles that Dior has come up with that I've shown you today. I mean, these bottles, this is probably one of my favorite bottles of all time. This simplistic square bottle with the cap and all that stuff is, I mean, I love the Dior Homme bottle, and I love the Fahrenheit bottle. I love the Poison bottle. I mean, this bottle, even this one right here, look at this bottle. I mean, this is beautiful. This would be so expensive to make a mold like this today. This is a beautiful bottle. You know, I love that they used to do stuff like that. Even the ridges here, you can see the ridges kind of, you can see what Dior was kind of going for. The bottles are stunning, but this is one of the most iconic. I mean, Fahrenheit is, with that shade up, you know, almost like you're watching like a burning piece of oil, or, you know, the sun, or it's just, I love the imagery. Everything is perfect. The fragrance, the leather in this is very underrated. This is very underrated as a leather. And again, so this is the one that says Christian Dior on the bottom. This is the one that says Dior. They're both amazing, stunning. So that gasoline opening, God, I need to wear this soon. And finally, that leaves number 1. You guys know what it is? It is their fragrance from 1980, my favorite decade. I mean, what can I say? The only thing I can say is I wish I had a backup of this fragrance. It's so damn good. It was created by Jean Martel, who also made Paco Rabanne pour Homme. How about that for two fragrances? Paco Rabanne pour Homme and this, Jules, or Jules, by Christian Dior. This is an old splash. Look how they used to do the batch codes in the old days. Look at that. It's plastered on in white ink. This is, I mean, this is my favorite decade. Oh, God. Animalic, bold, cumin, tarragon. I love tarragon in the opening. There's this green basil floral thing going on, but it's all about the leather, the oak moss. It feels like there's a little bit of castoreum in the base. They probably used castoreum to build that leather accord. It's so good. If you're a leather lover like I am, and you've never smelled Jules, do yourself a favor. Next time, instead of buying yourself a Francis Kirkjohn or a Roja Dove, you know, or an Amouage, instead of giving them $300, $400, $500, buy yourself a vintage bottle of Jules and thank me later. I'm telling you, this is one of the best leathers of all time and the #1 Dior on my countdown. So, an hour, 16 minutes. Thank you for watching. We did the unboxing. We did the countdown. We even got an extra bonus fragrance I left out. Mid-countdown. How's that for being flexible? Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what your favorite Diors are. I'd love to hear about them. Love to hear what your favorites are from the list. I just love interacting with you guys and you know, love seeing your faces in the comments. Thank you to the supporters. I appreciate everyone that's kind of had the wind at my back. You know, you guys really do lift me up, and it means a lot. I love doing these videos, but it is very time-consuming. And, of course, you got to buy bottles. It's money-consuming and all this stuff, which I probably would be buying the bottles anyway, to be fair. It's not for the videos. But, you know, it does take time to pull all this stuff out and put it back. So I hope you guys appreciate it. I hope this is well-received. These family portrait videos, people seem to like them. And then ranking them, people really seem to like the countdown aspect. So hope you guys enjoyed this. Thanks for watching, everybody. Cheers, guys, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye now.